It is difficult for me to get into decisions very quickly. So then I shifted my entire strategy into trading just a few handful of names and just waiting for them, building size into them.
So my trading process is completely opposite of what Akshat just discussed. I like high volatility, quick execution like EP. If you see, even in EP, currently my trade in Discord community, I almost try to catch every gap which is breaking out of ORB.
I never thought I will put this much money in one stock, you know, ever in my life. And it's really giving good return. So currently my portfolio is invested in 3, 4 stocks. I mean, Quality Power.
I mean, went back to my past 50 trades or so, put them down in Excel, and then I understood, okay, I mean, what's my, it's very silly, but I mean, a lot of us don't do it. To understand my win percentage, win size, loss size, right? So that's the first step where you can start doing things from.
It has been one of the most brilliant trader transformations I've ever seen.
इसकी rather than एक strategy उसको follow करना है, develop a second and a third order thinking कि ये हम इस market में ये strategy क्यों follow कर रहे हैं, ये strategy से क्या expectations है.
अभी मैं daily के 3-4 पेज लिख डालता हूँ. कुछ अगर गलत कर दिया तो एकदम भयानक गालियाँ वालियाँ सब पेज में लिख डालता हूँ. When in the weekend we review, I can highlight the wordings where FOMO, frustration, the late entries.
So then 90% of my profits were only from 10 stocks. And that is when I realized that my biggest strength is in identifying the right stock. And I also identified that it is very difficult for me to trade on lower time frame. It is difficult for me to get into decisions very quickly.
That one system, the entire credit goes to these two people, because I have never traded earnings. Agar my earnings is quarter mein, if I built a system, this credit goes to these two people, because they have given me that thought process of how to look into that data, how to compare the data, and basically that was a contribution back to this group. Yeah, so I'm Anish Pillai, based out of Bombay. I've been in markets for about in and out 20 years now. Initially started as a side time with an employment trader. I've been working in the industry as a consultant and international business guy for about 20 years. So, and I have my own research license. So I'm a SEBI registered research analyst. So, but we do not intraday tradings or not of that sort. We do more of long-term portfolios. So basically, so my alignment towards, so I was never a good person in options. Neither I was a good trader in intraday, horrendous trader. So, and these two people were champions in it. So I'm not sure whether Chirag or Anurag does anything for 3 months, 6 months ka portfolios. Probably they would not even have a portfolio in the system that would be living for that long. So that was the alignment. So, and I basically, how do you manage your position? What size of the position can you go with? See, I can sit with a long position and I can sit on it for aram se. But intraday mein, if I see red on my counter, my hands start shivering. So, ये problem था, and that was the very first thing when I spoke to Chirag ji and Anurag. So please don't confuse when I say Chirag ji and Anurag, because it's two different levels of friendship. So don't take offense on that. But मैं बोला था
already जी है, tension मत ले.
हाँ, तो वही वो दो जी है. So basically that was the so that was the thing that I said कि मेरे को वो चीज समझना है कि and that is where the whole culture started, the whole training started, the whole idea of the process started. It was not about, and nothing in that 2 months, no, not 2 months, about 6 months of the program that we did, there was not one trade that was discussed in a way कि ये कल लेना चाहिए, which is difference to any other cohorts, any other trading programs that you, एक बार भी trade discuss नहीं हुआ है कि कल क्या होना चाहिए. We would have discussed trades that had happened in the week कि हाँ ये क्या हुआ, कैसे हुआ. वी वुड हैव डिस्कस. आज अभी भी जैसे आप लोग एक्यूटाइज का देख रहे थे, दे होता. सो दिस परसेप्शंस, सो इट इज लाइक यू गो फाइंड योर सेल्फ. आई मीन अभी जैसे अनुराग ने बोला कि अक्षत आई थिंक हैड डन हिज ओन वे ऑफ इवॉल्विंग हिज ट्रेड. सो विश्वा जी इज देयर. सो एवरीबडी हैज देयर ओन थियरी. उनका हमारे हमारे मॉडल से हमारे खुद के वर्कआउट से, बट वी ऑल वेर मिसिंग सम फिनेस. इट्स लाइक दैट पिंच ऑफ सॉल्ट वाज मिसिंग, एंड दैट वाज द फर्स्ट कोहोर्ट. And we learned a lot from each other. So Vishwaji, so I still remember Vishwaji is like, hey, इतना छोटा loss समझ में नहीं आता यार. It doesn't entertain me. So he's like, his loss has to be in that figure के वो दिखते हैं उनको दिन को. And then that even that statement tells you a lot कि जो आप देख रहे हो वो बहुत, it's a very small scene of the bigger picture. So thank you Vishwaji for that one statement. आज भी मुझे याद है आपका वो conversation. Right, so all of that, and that has turned into Trader. So a way of looking at, and whoever of you are part of the Discord group, I don't know if they are part of the Discord group or not.
Yeah, they're all there.
So you would have seen that the earnings ka system, that one system, the entire credit goes to these two people, because I have never traded earnings. Agar my earnings is quarter mein, if I built a system, this credit goes to these two people, because they have given me that thought process of how to look into that data, how to compare the data, and and basically that was a contribution back to this group, saying that okay, जो यहाँ से सीखा है, it's to my alumni batch, right? My alumnus. तो वो दिखाया है मैंने. तो and as a trader, it has turned my journey. Looking at the charts has become better. So yes, thank you for that. And yes, obviously option से थोड़ा बाहर आया हूँ. I'm concentrating more on towards building up algorithms, which I can do in options. But the confidence is you can deploy strategically, and it was one thing that is imbibed into us now is loss हो सकता है and वो गलती नहीं है. As long as loss is part of a method, it is good. Loss cannot be random. अगर आप you know justified कि this is why the loss has happened and you have way to improve it. But otherwise there is no 100% theory. That I'm sure probably I don't know which part of the stage you are in, probably end. अभी तक आप लोगों को कोई 100% वाला magic pot नहीं मिला रहेगा ना. So there is no 100% theory, 100% theory, and other theory that I still love and keep close to my heart is learn to let go. Agar so one of the systems that we discussed is that you look at the morning at 9:20. Agar वो system आपके chart पे नहीं आया, it is nothing that you can do about it. Right? If the setup comes to you at 9:15 and 9:20, you are already in a position. There is nothing to you that can do for regret. Right? So वो सब चीजें is what from a mental and a paradigm shift is the great thing that I've learned from this cohort, and I'll keep it close to my heart. So and I've been inherently a software developer. So जो कुछ मैं develop कर रहा हूँ, what all I'm imbibing into my model strategies, and all of that is the learnings from this is that is you have to let go things. Your strategy has to be fine. You can't think during the market. राइट अभी आप चिराग जी ने भी मस्त एक चीज बोला था, चिंता में टाइम मत खत्म करो, क्रिया में करो. Right, so actually you were telling me I was expecting the call to start at 9 o'clock, and in that 10 o'clock probably मुझे एक ऐसा it was like fast revisions, and it's like those Hindi movies के जैसा flashes आ रहे थे कि अरे ये word, and I could pick up the things from this. The whole thing was basically मेरे को जो कुछ बोलना है यहाँ पे बोला जा रहा है. Right, thank you for this wonderful session, and I'm hopeful that this journey continues, right? And yeah.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Anish.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for that dashboard. I think it's really helping the whole TradeTM.
Next, उसका कुछ एक नया रूप and ये आ रहा है, so which probably is coming with position sizing and a tracker. So now you could probably see, I couldn't show you right now, but you could probably see that if you put a watch list and you put a price there, आपको बताएगा कि the price is at a 5% range or a 10% range or 15% range. आगे पीछे का time indicator बताएगा, so that what the problem that I had is, And I'm sure many of you have the question कि इसके लिए रुको क्या अगले के लिए रुको, कौन से घोड़े पे पैसा लगाओ? So it is basically coming to you saying that you are waiting for this one and the next one is coming very close. Right? So that is coming soon.
Perfect. Awesome.
Right.
By the way,
Thank you.
Anish also has a small case if you want to search about it later. One. Also, Anish, one thing after the cohort ended, right? How were the changes that you could visibly see, and what were your challenges that the cohort members will either face later or they can be aware of?
The challenge is basically loss is part of the game. So that was basically, so that was the one thing that so when I am looking at a small case or a model portfolios, you're not looking at a daily stop loss. A small case works very similar to a mutual fund. आपको फ्राइडे को रीबैलेंस करना है, तब तक चलते रहेगा वो. There is no, but if you are intraday trading, you can see that counter live in front of you. Right? वहां पे is the mental shift that you need. के why can't you look at that way also as part of the game? अगर एक हफ्ते में जो लॉस होना है वो एक दिन में भी हो सकता है. But that is what you handle. You have to train your mind to see that okay, that is part of the game. Right? वो 90-20 का रोल, 90-10 का रोल बनाओ, 80-20 का रोल बनाओ, या 95-5 का बनाओ, कि that 5% is the cost of doing business. You can't expect always to be in that other side of the things. You have to put that money into the game, which is the cost of doing business. Right.
Perfect. Perfect.
Right.
Sure.
Thank you.
So much, Anish.
So thanks Anurag, thanks Chirag for having me here. So I was listening to Anish, and many things what Anish shared exactly resonate with me, and I'm sure it resonate not only with the cohort one I was part of, but also with the current cohort. So obviously, means like this kind of a genuine learning is something which brings everyone to the same page. Thanks a lot, Anurag and Chirag for giving us the time and helping us become a better trader. So I'll just keep it short. I'll maybe touch upon what I learned the most. Obviously, there were a lot of learnings, difficult to cover in probably 5 or 10 minutes. But what impacted me the most, how my journey has been since then. And and then if in case there's any quick query or question in the later part, I can take those up. So my biggest learning from this course has been critical thinking. So that is something which actually I'd say attracted me to the course, because I had some conversations with Chirag earlier when I started my journey in 2023 of trading. Okay, just to give you a background, I have been a long-term investor. I continue to be a long-term investor even now. So I had been doing investing for some 10, 12 years, but I started actively trading in 2023 onwards. And so I have a short trading history, but yeah, I have some understanding of the market because I had been operating as an investor for some time. So my initial conversation with Chirag were the seeds of were the germinating seeds in my mind of how trading works, how market operates, and things like those. And that is something which continued in the course as well. So it was more regarding less about, I'll say for me, if I say in terms of a step up, it was more about the critical thinking, contrarian thinking, and more about validating what you see or what you hear, rather than going with a fixed mindset. And I think that has been my biggest learning, and I'm really thankful for that to both Anurag and Chirag. And then coming on, like I said, means like I was also discussing this with Chirag over chats in the few months. There has been marked shift in the way I approach things, and I'll say I put in more of a introspective work in last 4 or 5 months than I would have put in probably in the previous 2 or 3 years. And it all started with a sudden flash of success, and then a deep drawdown. So I was up some 28-30% in 2 months or so, and then I kind of lost it all in the market in Jan. And that kind of just pushed me into analyzing what I am doing and what is that needs to be improved. And then I went on to a practical journey of analyzing myself, what works for me, rather than, let's say, Maybe Anurag is a wonderful EP trader, but when I analyze my results, when I analyze my psychology, I'm not built for it. So it does not matter what someone is good at or what someone is performing at the level. If your psychology does not meet that, you should not. Obviously, you should try it and then come to a conclusion basis your own results. That is it something that you do well, or is it something that you are not good at. And when I looked at my result, again, 2023 is when I started my journey. So, but then again, like last 4 or 5 months, like I spoke, I really went into a very deep dive kind of a mode, more into my own trading. And I analyzed that in 2023, 24, obviously because of the bull market, it was not like I was a genius or something. I made good money, I'll say, in terms of just a newbie starting out. And I figure out more than 90% of my profits were only from 10 stocks. And I can, and I think all of those stocks names, everyone would have traded at some point in time. And that is when I realized that my biggest strength is in identifying the right stock. And I also identified that it is very difficult for me to trade on lower time frame. It is difficult for me to get into decisions very quickly. So then I shifted my entire strategy into trading just a few handful of names, and just waiting for them, building size into them, and waiting for that to happen. Um, so I'll say, for me, like I summarize my trading now, like trading is a personalized problem solving. Okay. So you don't have to compare. You should not, in fact, compare yourself to anyone. You should not compare yourself to anyone on X or. I think X is the first thing that you should all stop looking at. I'll tell you, it impacted me a lot, especially now when the market is turning. You will see all hundreds of charts being posted, people making money here, there, everywhere. I don't know how much of that is true, but it definitely impacts. Unfollow all those people. Follow only few handful of people with whom your trading strategy actually resonates with, and follow the handles which who are sharing learning, like TradeTM, Anurag, Chirag. They don't share their post or profits and things like those. They are sharing knowledge. Everyone knows means, like, people who are making money don't need to show off. So if you see the biggest traders, even in India, most of those traders are anonymous. I know a few of them, and they do not want to be on social media, and because those guys are doing well, and they don't want to show that how much money they are making. So there are these kind of small things that you need to understand, and I think the biggest role in your strategy should be of the market. Okay, so what I did, which made me, let's say, 28-30% in a short span of time, and I lost it all. It was all because of the wrong strategy in the market, building huge size and then waiting for a sell into a weakness kind of a market where the market itself was not strong, was a wrong selection of a strategy, simply put. uh, so obviously your strategy has to depend on the kind of market that you are in. So you have to have a strategy wherein you have to sell into strength, where you have to trade a smaller size. Maybe Chirag and Anurag will kill me for this, but uh, again, this is, like I said, this is a personalized problem solving. So this is something which I solved for myself. This is something which suits me. It might not suit you. That I trade with a smaller size. I sell into strength in the bad environment. But now when the environment turned good, I'm willing to take in more size. I'm willing to go for longer runs, and that is how I will shift my strategy basis the market. So I think there are two things in your strategy. One is, of course, the market environment, and second is something which resonates with you, something that you can do. Like I cannot trade highly volatile stock. That is something which I have just taken out from my list of stocks that I trade. I have a very concentrated list of 50-60 stocks which I only trade. Very high liquidity stocks, only the market leaders kind of stock. Again, this goes back also, and it resonates with what I did in 2023 and 24, that there were only 10 of those stocks. I looked at the nature of those stocks. I looked at the behavior of those stocks. I looked at the technical parameters of those stocks. And then I kind of revised my strategy to kind of make it work that way. So again, just to summarize, I'll say you have all the information or the base knowledge that you need from this course. Now, the only thing that you need to figure out is what works for you. What works for you, what has worked if you have been trading actively for past, what has worked for you, and what resonates with you. I now know instinctively when I look at chart that is this a chart I want to trade on it, or is this a chart I just want to be in somehow. And then there are charts which might be doing, let's say, 50%, 100% in a month. I don't want to be in that chart because I know I cannot handle that. I won't be able to build size into that. If I build size into that, I won't be able to handle it if it works out well. So even though means like India might have only 2000, 2500 tradable stocks, but I think it is still a lot to kind of focus upon. For me, 50, 60 stocks, top market leaders is what I just focus upon. And that is where I think I have improved my results. It has improved my quality of trading, though it's a very short period to really think about it. It has a successful transformation, but I am quite sure that I'll be able to do that. Yeah, that's all from my side, Anurag and Chirag.
So
Thank
one thing, Akshat,
you for the knowledge. Yeah.
अक्षत और आप सभी के लिए मैं एक बात बताना चाहता हूँ कि व्हेन आई आस्क्ड अक्षत टू जॉइन टुडे ही सेड मी कि शायद मैं थोड़ा ट्रांजिशन कर गया हूँ तो आपके रिमेनिंग स्टूडेंट्स के लिए कंफ्यूजिंग हो जाएगा, राइट? बट आई फील दैट वो एग्जैक्टली उस स्टेज में जहाँ मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप लोग सभी हों, बिकॉज वी लर्न फ्रॉम अ पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ शूहा एंड री, राइट? तो इन्होंने लर्न किया वॉट एवर इज ट्रू फॉर मी, वॉट एवर वॉज ट्रू फ्रॉम मी, आई पुट इट इन टू दिस प्रोग्राम, बट इट इज स्टिल शू फॉर अक्षर, शू फॉर एवरी वन ऑफ, राइट? सो जो ये कह रहे हैं कि आपको अपने लिए ट्रांजिशन करना चाहिए, दैट इज द स्टेज ऑफ हाई एंड री जिसके थ्रू वो जा रहे हैं, दैट इज प्रॉब्ली आई फील दैट इज द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग। और इसीलिए मुझे लगता है कि आज के जितने भी गेस्ट हम लोगों ने बुलाए हैं उसमें से मुझे ये लगा कि अक्षत इज प्रॉब्ली द best person to show you that what is the next step here. Don't follow exactly what I taught you, right? Figure out what works for you. मैंने आपको वो सारी चीजें बताई जो मेरे हिसाब से आपको जाननी चाहिए, बट नाउ फिगर आउट कि आउट ऑफ दीज व्हाट वर्क्स फॉर यू, राइट? सो thank you, Akshat, for sharing your journey, and I feel that it will inspire a lot more people to figure out their own way, and I feel that that will indeed help them to think beyond the conventional thing that we learn, right?
Yeah. Thanks.
Really,
Thank you, Chirag. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
So Chinmay Kelkar. So I basically have an advisory practice, and I've been doing it since the last 6-7 years now. A decent sized advisory practice, right? So idea was that when I had first interacted with Chirag and Anurag, the thought process was that ki ek advisory practice hai. I have some models, I have some strategies for that. That is doing reasonably okay. Outliers nahi hai either side pe. And now that I have some money saved up, I'll talk to them and develop a trading plan for my own capital, right? Because initially I had tried it on my own and had done very badly. तो I'll do that, and अगर मुझे normal जो मेरे returns है उससे 4-5% भी extra मिल गया तो that will be very decent. So that is the framework with which I had started this basically. What had happened was during the entire period of 3 months, बहुत सारा चीजें अभी now that all of you are at the end of the course also, you will also know कि बहुत सारा discussions have happened around the trading strategies, entry plans, risk management, scaling up, so on and so forth, right? But for me, the biggest thing was the clarity of thought with which both of them approach a lot of things, right? कि आप उनसे कुछ भी पूछो कि ये ट्रेड क्यों लिया है, वो reason might be different or reason you might be able to comprehend or not able to comprehend, but उनका जो clarity of thought है is very striking for both of them. And when you listen to that for say 6 hours or 10 hours every week over a period of 2 to 3 months, you start questioning yourself कि यार मैं जो कर रहा हूँ, do I have the same clarity of thought with in the problems which I am trying to solve, और जो मैं trades ले रहा हूँ, do I have the same clarity of thought generally, and नहीं है तो वो क्यों नहीं है, and what should I do so that next time whenever I am taking a trade या whenever I am taking any action, मुझे भी वो clarity of thought रहे, irrespective of the outcome. I should be sure what I am doing and why I am doing this, right? So उसके लिए during the cohort itself या थोड़ा सा और उसके बाद में I started reviewing my own trades generally. कि 2018-19 से I had started. I started doing things for myself कि मतलब ये phase पे मैंने इस type के actions क्यों लिए थे and what was the result या मतलब why was I doing what I was doing, right? And बहुत सारे time ना it came across as something which was very मेथोडिकल कि ये सेट ऑफ रूल्स है, ये फॉलो करेंगे, ये रिजल्ट आएगा. अप्रोक्सीमेटली वो रिजल्ट आया, बट वो रिजल्ट में मतलब इट वाज एवरेज, इट वाज कुछ उसमें मजा नहीं आ रहा था. एंड देन ग्रेजुअली आई स्टार्टेड मतलब अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि व्हाट आई वाज लैकिंग वाज अ स्लाइटली बिगर मैक्रो पर्सपेक्टिव. आप अगर डे इन डे आउट ब्रेकआउट ट्रेड कर रहे हो या मोमेंटम ट्रेड कर रहे हो ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ 6-7 years, यू विल डू ओके बट यू विल नॉट डू ग्रेट, राइट? तो वो एक बहुत मतलब इंटरेस्टिंग अंडरस्टैंडिंग था that whenever you are doing something, you yourself should have that clarity of thought कि ये तुम मतलब how are you approaching this problem, what are you trying to solve. तो ये बहुत carefully start किया मैंने करना for my own portfolios. And what I realized is there are two things which I was not doing generally. Firstly, एक जो situational awareness वाला situation होता है, situational awareness can be very short term or can be medium or long term, but I was not focusing on that at all कि where are we in the broader market. And secondly, I was being too risk averse that whenever I am trying to take a position, usually एक तुमने बचपन से थियरी में बहुत पढ़ा होता है कि 16 स्टॉक्स का पोर्टफोलियो होना चाहिए, 20 स्टॉक्स का पोर्टफोलियो होना चाहिए. इवेंचुअली यू रियलाइज कि व्हेन द मार्केट्स करेक्ट द कोरिलेशन इज 1, सब गिर जाता है. सो इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द फैक्ट कि यू हैव अ 10 स्टॉक पोर्टफोलियो और अ 20 स्टॉक पोर्टफोलियो, कोविड का इवेंट रहेगा, 2023 के इवेंट रहेगा, एवरीथिंग विल करेक्ट एंड ऑल योर स्टॉप लॉसेस विल गेट हिट. सो अगर वो होना ही है, सो माइट एज वेल फोकस कि जब व्हेन यू आर राइट यू मेक इट बिग, क्योंकि जब लॉस होगा तो होगा ही. एंड दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच आई वाज नॉट डूइंग. तो that during the 3 months and after that, this is what I started actively focusing on कि where are we in the entire market cycle, so that we adjust our return expectations accordingly. And secondly, what is actually working, because कोई भी मार्केट साइकिल में ना मतलब अगर 10 भी ब्रेकआउट्स हो रहे हैं या कोई भी आप स्ट्रैटेजी फॉलो कर रहे हो, यू विल गेट 50 स्टॉक्स, राइट? बट उनमें से 10 या 15 में ही द अदर प्रोबेबिलिटीज विल आल्सो बी इन देयर फेवर. If small caps is working, then you have to focus on small caps. कुछ specific industries are working, then the chances कि वो industry के stocks जो आप filter out कर रहे हो, them working will be slightly higher. So इस तरीके से I consciously changed my thinking कि you have to keep stacking probabilities in your favor whenever you are taking a trade. So ये actually सबसे बड़ा fundamental change था in the thought process कि rather than एक strategy है उसको follow करना है, डेवलप अ सेकंड एंड अ थर्ड ऑर्डर थिंकिंग कि ये हम इस मार्केट में ये स्ट्रेटेजी क्यों फॉलो कर रहे हैं, ये स्ट्रेटेजी से क्या एक्सपेक्टेशंस है. एंड सेकंडली, अगर इफ वी आर डूइंग दिस, जब गलत होंगे तब तो गलत होना ही है, बट व्हेन वी आर राइट आर वी मेकिंग इट बिग. सो वो एक दो थॉट प्रोसेस बहुत सिग्निफिकेंटली चेंज हुए थे. एंड देन आफ्टर मतलब गोइंग थ्रू अ ये आई रियलाइज कि देयर आर मतलब ना जनरली अगर आप ये सोचते हो कोई भी चीज के बारे में, यू विल नॉट at the end of it come up with 5 things which you can do very well. You will just come up with एक strategy या एक thought process which is truly aligned to you, like which you feel right आपके gut में कि this is what I can do, this is what I can properly do and make मतलब try and make decent amount of returns generally. So then जो initially start किया था कि एक clients का portfolio रहेगा, एक trading का portfolio रहेगा, all that went away. I am like कि this मुझे इस पे फोकस करना है कि बेसिकली मार्केट्स अंडरस्टैंड करने हैं कि हम मार्केट्स के साइकिल में कहाँ हैं, कौन से सेक्टर्स या कहाँ टेलविंड है एक्चुअली. आई हैव टू फोकस ऑन दैट. वंस आई आइडेंटिफाई दैट, देन आई विल मतलब बेट ऑन कंपनीज व्हिच हैव दीज टू थिंग्स गोइंग फॉर देम. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा ट्रांजिशन था व्हिच आई वाज नॉट फोकसिंग ऑन अर्लियर जनरली. एंड अभी सारा फोकस इज कि चलो मतलब, एंड जिसकी वजह से आई हैड बेट ऑन अ कपल ऑफ सेक्टर्स इमीडिएटली आफ्टर द कोहॉर्ट. टिल February I was doing like very well. मार्च में सब करेक्ट हुआ तो इवन दैट पोर्टफोलियो करेक्टेड, बट स्टिल एक बहुत डिसेंट अमाउंट ऑफ आउट परफॉर्मेंस इन द लास्ट 5-6 months. अभी भी आई हैव लाइक रिवाइज्ड माय पोर्टफोलियो टू बेट ऑन द सेक्टर्स व्हिच आर करंटली डूइंग वेल, एंड यू कैन सी द डिफरेंस. क्योंकि नाउ यू फील कि मतलब इफ आई गेट इट राइट, मतलब ये कोई भी चीज अगर इफ आई गेट इट राइट ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ 3-4 months, द रिटर्न या द end result will be significant. So more than actual strategies and actual मतलब risk management and scaling up, ये पूरे cohort से the biggest change in my life has been the thought process, like how you think about a lot of things generally. So and which I believe will be true for everyone. कि आप जैसे you take us through a lot of things during the cohort. There are a few things which will click for anyone, right? And those will always be a handful. सारी चीजें किसी को भी सही they can't execute all those things properly. So my recommendation या something which has worked for me is कि only focus on those things which you feel really right doing. And in this case, most of the times we are too risk averse basically. And उससे कुछ फायदा होता नहीं है because when we are wrong and we end up जितना risk लिया है उतना तो जाना ही है, irrespective of the fact that you have 10 stocks or 20 or 30 stocks in your portfolio. So the focus has to be कि if you are convinced about something and if you are right, then you have to उसका वो impact आना चाहिए portfolio पे. So ये दो मेरे सबसे बड़े learnings थे during the cohort.
Perfect. Awesome. For everyone, they can just go to resources and see Chinmay's trade plan when he has made it. I think 2 या 3 बार कुछ ज्यादा ही iterations लगा था ना उस समय Chinmay. But I think what we came out with was a very, very good end final product. Very nice.
Hi guys, I'm Dixit. I'm an aeronautical engineer by profession from Ahmedabad, currently based in Bangalore. And so my trading process is completely opposite of what Akshat just discussed. Like he said, he doesn't like volatility. He's not made for EPs and quick execution. And I almost exactly trade like that. I like high volatility, quick execution like EP. If you see, even in EP, currently my trade in Discord community, I almost try to catch every gap which is breaking out of ORB. So probably joining TradeTM was the most important decision which I have taken in last recent years. So what changed in after we completed the cohort? The first thing is I was trading reasonably well before even joining there, but I was trading with a very small capital. I had money, but I was not enough confident to add that amount to my account size. And Anurag and Chirag both gave me that confidence that go ahead, you can add this. It is not going to change your life. And I did that immediately, and I can see the result because I'm trading equally well with that position size as well. So if I could have not joined TradeTM, that I could have wasted the very big time in that. Also, the major change for me is the enjoying the process and the fun of problem solving. So my trading journal type, जब मैं trading journal कर रहा था, was very basic, which was like just Excel में जो data crunch करते हैं वो. तो अभी मैं डेली के 3-4 पेज लिख डालता हूँ. कुछ अगर गलत कर दिया तो एकदम भयानक गालियां वालियां सब पेज में लिख डालता हूँ. When in the weekend we review, I can highlight the wordings where FOMO, frustration, the late entries, and that can quickly I can reiterate and I can get closer as possible, because currently the major issue was me when I was discussing with Anurag and Chirag was the regret. क्योंकि मेरा स्टाइल ऐसा है कि मैं थोड़ा बिग साइज के साथ पहले एंट्री लेके फिर पील ऑफ करना चाहता हूँ, और वहां पे मैं इट इज मेड टू मिस द मेजर अमाउंट ऑफ द मूव विच स्टॉक इज मूव. लेकिन अभी जब मैं पूरा ये रीइटरेशन फीडबैक लूप में ट्राई कर रहा हूँ, तब मैं पूरा अपने आपको कनेक्ट कर पा रहा हूँ कि मेरा एग्जीक्यूशन और मेरा ऑब्जेक्टिव वो डे बाय डे क्लोजर आ रहा है. देन द रिग्रेट पार्ट इज कंप्लीटली गॉन. So as Chinmay and Akshat, everyone is saying that the thought process helped me a lot. When I say lot, like improved by multiple axes. I might not be doing 70% of the thing which was taught by Anurag and Chirag in the cohort, but that 30% which I have taken, which impact me a lot. So I will say that feedback loop and the problem solving is the must do thing. When you will go and check what you did, how will you do it? If you will trade an optimal trading style, then you see that what you did wrong, why you did it, whether it is correctly. Let's say अभी जब हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे ये फीडबैक के पहले, जब वो ट्रेडिंग एग्जिट स्ट्रेटेजीज एंड ऑल, I have tried that also, but then later I found out that it is not meant for me. I'm not able to do it at all. My trading style is completely different, so I should do this. So TradeTM has completely helped me to find out who am I as a trader, my personality, and now I'm trying to figure out the exact system revolving around my personalities. So earlier also when I analyzed my journal trades, I had the majority of the trade in a tier 2, tier 3 stocks. Like tier 1 stocks, I would completely missed out the major winner stocks. Now, when I go in the trade journal, I almost completely eliminated tier 2, tier 3 stocks, and I can see the results clearly that what it helped me was. Also, the community, the Discord community is really helpful. Try to maximize and capitalize on that because we have some really good traders here. So try to talk with them, try to communicate with them, their process, how they are doing, because even though they are trading completely different strategies, one sentence can click and your trading style can completely be different. So try to capitalize on that. That's all from my side. Both these guys have done wonderful work. Now it's time to show us the result. So let's work hard. Okay then, bye. See you at work, guys.
Thank you so much, Dixit. Yes, Satish,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, my name is Satish. So I have been a software engineer by profession. I quit like around 10 months ago. And around the same time, I saw this TradeTM membership open, and I got in touch with Chirag, and that's how this entire thing happened. And before I joined TradeTM, I was doing a lot of things actually, futures, options, and all of that nonsense, and I was getting nowhere. But just before I joined TradeTM, I was doing the equity swing trading, looking at Kolamagi and all the Mark Minervini, the PCP concepts, and I was still not going anywhere. Though I was having good trades, I was still not kind of going anywhere in terms of my portfolio going up, right? It just kept me busy, and yeah, that's all that was happening, right? And post joining TradeTM, there were many changes that happened. But to summarize, the first primary thing that impacted was the idea of first principles thinking, right? Don't take everything at face value. Like a lot of people post on Twitter, there's okay, why does a VCP happen? Why do stocks move, right? What's the importance of volume? Like, do you even want to consider volume and why? So think for yourself as to why are these things happening, right? So give it some thought and don't blindly go by what anyone says, right? So that way you'll also develop I know the earlier speaker spoke about having a unique approach, right? So once you start thinking from a first principles perspective, right, you'll start to understand slight nuances and develop things for yourself in the longer term. Develop a much more unique approach that's more suited to you. So that's the first important thing that TradeTM from an impact perspective happened. And the second thing was, so once you address the first principles thinking, right? The second is the stock selection itself. So it kind of where you kind of, instead of trying to look at every stock, you just focus. You have a focus list where you're able to relate to a stock. You're able to understand why you think the stock could move higher. Right, at the A or an A exercise, which Chirag and Anurag does, right? That's very helpful, and it also provides a lot of screen time. You can just randomly over the weekend just scroll through multiple charts, and that screen time really really helps in the long term. In a quick few seconds, you should be able to tell whether this stock should be in my watch list or not. So that's half the problem done, maybe slightly less than half. And the second thing is the idea of impact on portfolio, right? So you can do a lot of things. You can go through thousands of stocks, come up with 10 or 20 stocks, right? And you catch a very good stock, you call it an A plus setup, it moves 100%. But then if you haven't sized it properly, right, it's just not going to make any difference to your portfolio. Like if you have sized it like at 5% or 10% of your portfolio, and even if the stock moves like 30-40%, right, it's though it gives you a sense of having achieved something, but at the end of it, it's not really impacting a lot to your portfolio. That's something you need to keep in mind. So try to kind of have a bigger sizes. At least that's what worked for me. Earlier, before joining TradeTM, I never used to take more than a 10% position size, and I never used to use MTF. Not that I'm suggesting MTF for everyone, but it may or may not work for everyone. But that's what has worked for me. And when you kind of look at the idea of position sizing, right? That's where you'll start working on a lot of different things, like how can you get the biggest size with the smallest position size, and also like different entry mechanisms, right? Like at the opening of the day, how can you kind of enter so that you can get the maximum size? So all of your entry techniques will change. You won't kind of stick to just BCP patterns and those tight ranges. You'll kind of look at alternative or non-conventional entry mechanisms just to kind of get that initial bigger position size, so that at the end of it, you could have a bigger impact to your portfolio. What this could also mean is there will be an impact on the win rate, right? But the win rate at the end of the day does not really kind of make a lot of difference as long as you're able to control your loss size, right? I think that, and don't be afraid to kind of take those losses. It's fine. So as long as you're keeping it to whatever acceptable loss you have, 0.25 or 3 or 0.5% of your portfolio, you can take as many trades, but don't be fearful. So that earlier I used to kind of hesitate a lot to take trades, but now, I mean, I end up on the other side. I also end up taking a lot of trades, and that's another problem I have. But at least I'm not fearful, and I'm not. The winners kind of make up for all my other foolish things I do on the other side, right? And the third thing is, I mean, look at this entire thing. Like Anurag kind of has a very, I mean, he looks at this entire thing more like a mathematical problem, right? So if you, so he says your win percentage, your win size, and loss size, and expectancy, right? So before I know it's very silly if you've been trading for a long time, and even I was not kind of very diligently maintaining a journal or anything. But the first thing when I met Anurag and Chirag, the first thing I did was, I mean, went back to my past 50 trades or so, put them down in Excel, and then I understood, okay, I mean, it's very silly, but I mean, a lot of us don't do it to understand my win percentage, win size, loss size, right? So that's the first step where you can start doing things from. Without which, I mean, there's no feedback loop. There's no way for you to kind of assess where you are and what you need to improve on. So the first thing when I did the journaling exercise, I think I had a stop size of 3.5 to 4% or something like that. And in order to achieve a bigger size, I had to reduce my stop size. That's where I started working on different entry mechanisms and all of that, right? So unless you have a good, I mean, it can just be a very basic journal, but at least know your win percentage, win size, and loss size, and where you have to tweak. So like for Akshat or for Chinmay, Anish, they could be very different parameters, right? But you know where your strength lies. So some of them could have a very high win percentage, that's the strength. Some of them could have a very low win percentage, but very high win size. So it depends on what kind of a trader you are, right? So at least you should be knowing where you stand. And what else the other thing was the market environment, right? So earlier I never used to consider the overall market breadth or the market environment. Like I just used to whatever comes on the watch list, just read them. But now I'm a little aware as to, okay, some of the days I kind of tend to ignore trades based on what the overall market is doing. That's kind of helped me keep myself out of some of the trades that I would have taken earlier, right? What else? Yeah, I think that's, and that fear of taking trades, right? That doesn't exist anymore. So I'm kind of, yeah, I think that's more about.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Satish, so much. In
Yeah.
fact, if you see Satish's evolution, right? I think we started what in August, Satish? Yeah, about 8 to 9 months, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have even recognized you in the 8 months which was there before. I think it has been one of the most brilliant trader transformations I've ever seen in this case. So yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for all the effort you guys put together to kind of help traders like me.
Yes, yes. No, no, we are still waiting for the next feedback loop for yours to come. It's still not done.
Sure.
Sure.
So in the past 10 years, I have been in this business, and I'm a pretty improvement mindset guy, and I have been improving my trading and investing a lot, which I thought the way I thought it should be improved, but it was not giving really significant improvement. I mean, palpable improvement was not seen. So मेरे को लगा कि अभी मुझे कुछ ऐसे लोग की हेल्प की ज़रूरत है जिससे मेरा ट्रेडिंग और इन्वेस्टिंग इम्प्रूव हो सके। और चिराग अनुराग को काफ़ी टाइम से मैं जानता था, ट्विटर वगैरह पे एक दो बार हेलो हाय भी हुआ ट्विटर पे। एंड देन आई ज्वाइन, एंड चेंज इज़ फिनोमिनल। और वो चेंज मैं ऐसे बोल सकता हूँ कि क्या मेरे लिए वर्क नहीं, पहले मुझे यही नहीं मालूम था कि व्हाट इज वर्किंग फॉर मी, व्हाट इज नॉट वर्किंग फॉर मी। तो जब ये दो चीज़ आपको पता नहीं है तो आप कोई इम्प्रूवमेंट कर ही नहीं सकते। तो सबसे पहले मुझे ट्रेड एनालिसिस से पता चला कि क्या मेरे लिए वर्क नहीं कर रहा है एंड हाउ टू इम्प्रूव अबाउट इट। तो ये कोहर्ट के बाद मैं ट्रेड एनालिसिस, ये जर्नल वगैरह कभी नहीं रखता था और अभी भी नहीं रखता हूँ। अभी मैं ट्रेड को डाउनलोड करके ट्रेड जिला से एनालिसिस करता हूँ मंथ के एंड में। तो कोई जर्नलिंग वगैरह जो हमारे और फ्रेंड्स लोग कर रहे हैं, उतना हार्ड वर्किंग मैं हूँ नहीं, तो मैं ट्रेड जिला से मेरा काम चल जाता है। तो उससे मेरे को पता चला कि मेरे, अभी मैं एक आपको एक शीट शेयर करना चाहता हूँ कि जो कि, कैन आई शेयर?
यस, 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 प्लीज। आई थिंक चिराग आएगा क्या एडमिन एक्सेस आपके पास नीचे दिख रहा है शायद विपिन विश्व जी?
रिक्वेस्ट हैज बीन सेंट।
हाँ, मैंने अलाउ कर।
हाँ,
तो अभी ये देखिए, एक शीट में शेयर करता हूँ। एम आई शेयरिंग?
हाँ, यस। और
अभी आया।
थोड़ा वापस से वॉल्यूम डिम हो गया है विश्व जी, जस्ट चेक कर लीजिए।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, अभी अभी शेयर कर रहा हूँ मैं।
यस, यस, नाउ वी कैन हियर।
हाँ
हाँ
यस।
हाँ हाँ, अभी आवाज भी सुनाई पड़ रही है ना। अभी देखिए कि इसमें क्या था कि जो ट्रेड एनालिसिस मैंने की विद द हेल्प ऑफ अनुराग और चिराग, तो उसमें हमको ये पता चला कि मेरी जो भी सक्सेस ट्रेड्स हैं and, उनका जो वो एक्चुअली 2% भी नीचे गई बिफोर दे स्टार्टेड गोइंग अप। दैट इज कॉल्ड मैक्सिमम, क्या बोलते हैं,
एडवर्स
रिवर्स
एक्सप्रेशन।
या एडवर्स एक्सकर्सन।
और थोड़ा जूम इन कर सकते हैं विश्व जी, थोड़ा स्क्रीन पे छोटा दिख पॉसिबल।
एक मिनट एक मिनट।
I think this was one of the best analysis that I've ever seen. I think Vishwa ji had done it so well. I think हम लोग के बार बार एग्जांपल भी लेते रहते हैं हम।
इसको जूम कैसे करूँ?
नीचे बॉटम राइट पे, हाँ वहीं पे।
हो रहा है?
यस,
हो रहा
यस,
है?
यस।
तो ये मेरे पहले के स्टैट्स है। 70% विनिंग ट्रेड्स, एम आई वॉज लेस देन 2%। तो लेकिन मेरे जो स्टॉप लॉस, जो स्टॉप फिट होते थे वो 4 से 7%, 8% के आसपास होते थे। सो दैट मच मनी आई कुड हैव सेव्ड, ये मुझे पता चला कि स्टॉप लॉस 2% से ज्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए। एंड इट्स आई इम्प्लीमेंटेड एंड इट्स वर्किंग नाउ प्रेटी वेल। आई डोंट नीड मोर देन 2% स्टॉप लॉस। So that was the first improvement which I needed to do. That only I came to know after this analysis. And then Position sizing, only 13% trades size above 18% of the portfolio. 25% grain. Yeah. So sizing was, it was under sizing. And if I could have sized around 25% consistent position, 347K dollar would have gained in that year. So that was the, I came to know because of my mistake, I lost this much money, because of the position sizing. Then under exposure, मेरा जो average exposure used to be 60 to 80%, बिकॉज स्टॉप लॉस हिट्स हो जाता था, फिर उसके बाद साइकोलॉजी इंपैक्ट होती थी, मैं ट्रेड नहीं लेता था, तो ओवरऑल जो वो एक्सपोजर रहता था वो काफी कम रहता था। तो मुझे लगा कि ये एक्सपोजर को भी इम्प्रूव करना जरूरी है। तो और दूसरी चीज, स्टॉक सिलेक्शन में भी प्रॉब्लम थी। टायर वन स्टॉक्स पे मैं नहीं फोकस करता था, रैंडम स्टॉक्स को ले लेता था कि पीछे का ट्रेंड वगैरह देखे। तो ये नए एनालिसिस से टायर वन स्टॉक में ही अभी मैं पैसा डालता हूँ। तभी आपको मैं लास्ट 3 मंथ का स्टेट्स दिखाता हूँ। देखिए इसी के बगल में है, फेब्रुवरी मार्च अप्रैल, कैन यू सी दैट? फेब्रुवरी मार्च अप्रैल।
यस।
तो इसमें देखिए, तो पहले मेरी नंबर ऑफ ट्रेड्स, टोटल जो ट्रेड्स है, देखो ट्रेड पर मंथ ये है, ये कितनी कम हुआ करती थी, अभी देखिए कितनी ज्यादा हो गई। फेब्रुवरी वाज एक्सेप्शनल मंथ बिकॉज आई वाज बिजी एंड आई डिडंट डू मच ट्रेडिंग। So but you see January, March and April. Okay. And these are the losing trades. That's a different thing. And then total dollar I lost is this. But here what matters is last dollar per trade. You see the last dollar per trade, it's pretty less than before. You see, earlier it was too much. Now it is too less, and it is very comforting to my psychology. And it's going down only. So this is because of that 2% stop loss. This is what happened. And then winning trades, these are the winning trades, and total dollar gained in that month. You see, there is a consistency since last 2 months, March and April, even though March was very volatile month in US market. It was terrible month, March, right? Because February, this geopolitical situation started. This kind of month, I never made money, but this time it made money. So that is because of math, not because of any exceptional skill. Because math was right, so this made money. And if you see, winning dollar per trade is increasing, consistent increase, 2,800, 2,700. This is winning dollar per trade. And then win ratio also, you see consistent improvement in the win ratio. You see, I mean, winning to losing trade ratio. You see, this is six time of, I mean, win ratio means winning amount ratio. Sorry, this is winning amount. So what I lose, what I win. So this is actually 6 ratio. So that's good, and it gives a lot of leverage to,
That's a fantastic number.
lose more trade and win very less and still make money. So then this is the net dollar I made in the each month. You see, this is my net dollar made March and April, and it is kind of very much kind of what you call independent of situational awareness. That's the, because you see, in the war time also I made money. I thought it's by flow, but the system is such, it doesn't really, I mean, it navigates volatility very well. So ट्रेड्स को मैं इस तरह से लेता हूँ और ऐसे टाइम लेता हूँ, बिकॉज मेरे को यूएस मार्केट में टाइम रहता है, शाम को मैं फ्री रहता हूँ, तो वहाँ पे स्क्रीन पे बैठता हूँ। ट्रेड मार्केट चालू हो जाने के बाद जब वॉलेटिलिटी सेटल होती है तब मैं ट्रेड लेना चालू करता हूँ। तो दैट्स वाई, तो सिचुएशन अवेयरनेस इसमें ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं है, क्योंकि सिचुएशनल अवेयरनेस में जो फर्स्ट 15 मिनट होते हैं उसी में सारा काम हो जाता है, 10 नीचे एंड ऑल दैट। तो वहां पे मैं पूरे कैश में रहता हूँ, जब सेटल हो जाता है तो उसके बाद मैं ट्रेड लेने चालू करता हूँ। तो इसकी वजह से इसमें सिचुएशनल अवेयरनेस का जो लॉन्ग टर्म, और अभी मैं इंडियन मार्केट में आऊंगा, ये मेरा यूएस का अलग स्ट्रेटजी है ना, इंडियन मार्केट का इंटायरली डिफरेंट, वो पूरा इन्वेस्टिंग वाला है। तो इसमें क्या है कि लॉन्ग टर्म में मुझे बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती थी कि किसी भी दिन मार्केट गैप डाउन ओपन होता था, मेरा 12 से 15% पोर्टफोलियो सेव ऑफ हो जाता था, 12 से 15% एक दिन में। एंड दैट्स रियली वेरी डिस्टर्बिंग। एंड देन एक हफ्ते तक मतलब ट्रेडिंग का माइंडसेट एकदम बेकार रहता था, वो इंडिया को इम्पैक्ट करता था, फैमिली को, जॉब को इम्पैक्ट करता था। मुझे लगा कि ये जो ओवरनाइट रिस्क है, आई शुड नॉट टेक। तो ये सारी ट्रेड्स मैं ऑन कर देता हूँ, और उसके बाद उसमें उसको मैं वॉच करता रहता हूँ, एंड एंड ऑफ द डे मैं क्लोज कर देता हूँ। तो यू कैन से आई एम काइंड ऑफ डे ट्रेडर इन यूएस मार्केट, but that is working for me. So what is the problem in being day trader? I don't have that mental block that I don't have to be day trader. Something working for me, which I never thought it will work. Now it's working because of this math and all that. So I will continue in this because it gives me a good night's sleep. Next day I'm not looking for 10-15% gap down actually. You know? Yeah, so there are so many things. And even though the gap down doesn't happen, sectoral gap down happens in the next day. Even Nasdaq and SPX, ये सब सही रहते हैं, बट उसमें कुछ पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर्स वो काफी स्टॉक टैंक हो जाते हैं, एंड इफ यू आर इन्वेस्टेड इन दैट, योर पोर्टफोलियो विल टेक ए टैंक एक्चुअली. So that is the thing. Then portfolio size, you see, improvement. 36%, 33%, 25. This is the average trade portfolio size, average size. Earlier it was between 3 to 15%. और वो भी 15 साइड में बहुत कम ट्रेड रहता है. So portfolio size has increased, and portfolio churn has also increased a lot. And I started using a little bit margin also, 50 to 100%. Okay. So portfolio exposure, if you see monthly basis, how much it was, 120 to 150%. So there is some amount of margin also. So this kind of mathematics, and this is really just 3 months. And I think at the end of the year, I will be able to improve it much better way by increasing turnover more and so many things, reducing risk further, finding better entries and better exit. So it is yet to be, it is just starting actually. But you see the before, it was a disaster. So, but to help find out my weakness, my problems, that's credit goes to Chirag ji and Anurag ji. Thank you so very much for it, you know. So that's the transformation in the US market. And regarding the Indian market was also, focus was a problem. I was not focused exactly which stock I have to trade actually. So what helped me to do that, ENA analysis, it helped a lot. Okay. And stop loss also to some extent. Indian market में 4-5% का लीवे देता हूँ, because it's not a day trade, it's a long term trade, and I'm going for only ये type of stock with good fundamental tailwind and good institutional hand in that. So that kind of stock I focus. So उसमें 3 से 4% तक का दे सकता हूँ. पहले 8 से 9% रहता था, तो वहां पे भी इम्प्रूवमेंट है. And size also increased in India, इधर तो हो ही गया, and Indian market also increased. I was not taking enough size for the good quality stocks, so that has already increased. And turnover, I think this is some wrong number. ये सब यूएस मार्केट का है एक्चुअली. सो ओवरऑल इंडियन मार्केट में स्टिल आई एम इन्वेस्टर, एंड आई फोकस ऑन वेरी हैंडफुल स्टॉक. और अभी मेरे लिस्ट में 10-12 स्टॉक से ज्यादा नहीं है जिसमें मैं ट्रेड ले सकता हूँ. अभी 4 या 5 में मेरी ट्रेड है, और 4-5 काफी एक्सटेंडेड है जिसको मैं मिस कर दिया हूँ. व्हेन दे pull back and give a good entry, I will enter in that after booking profit in this. So that's the kind of portfolio I'm running in India. And that's huge. I never thought I will put this much money in one stock, ever in my life. And it's really giving good return. So currently my portfolio is invested in 3-4 stocks. I mean, quality power. And please don't take it as a investment advice. Do your own research. I'm not a research analysis. And PRN and NetWave. And MTRTech I missed. That wasn't very much in the list. I could have bought it, but I missed it, and that's a regret little bit going on. So यही है मेरा इंडिया का, और उसमें मेरा एंटायर पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टेड है 100%. Maybe more than 100%. So pretty good size, pretty good return. But again, I need to review it to not lose too much actually. तो मेरा पहले का यही है ना कि I once I put the position, then I don't look at it. So, but based on your course, I will just look at it and put some stop, you know. ब्रेक इवन
हम्म
स्टॉक तो ऑलरेडी है ही है अभी, बट उसका जो पोजीशन से अप्रिसिएट बहुत ज़्यादा हो गई बहुत कम टाइम में, तो मैं 3 वीक का रूल अप्लाई करके उसमें उसी हिसाब से लगाऊंगा, बिकॉज आई देर आर नॉट मेनी गुड स्टॉक्स विच विल रन इन द मार्केट. So if you are
Yeah.
already into it, no need to book profit early. So that's the next part actually. How I will do that, I will come to know in coming months actually. Where I identified good stock, if I put the right size, if I captured the measurement. These three things which I learned from the course, and that third part is still yet to be tasted. How I doing that. So overall, what I learned from you guys, that's phenomenal. So all you guys teach, what I understand, everything you guys ask us to do, that adds to the compounding itself. So compounding is the main thing here. You ask us to put more size, that also goes well with the compounding. That more size in the best stock, in the best trade, that give you maximum money. That adds to the compounding. Less stop loss, very less small stop loss, that also adds to the compounding. And focus in, now I focus only 30 to 40 stocks. So because those are the best stocks, those will run best based on linearity, participation, discounting, fundamental tailwind, then the sectors in flavor, liquidity, considering all those stuff. So I don't have in my list more than 40, 50 stocks. And currently investable almost एक ही दो स्टॉक हो गए जिसमें मैं अभी और पोजीशन डाल सकता हूँ. सो दिस इज द काइंड फोकस आई अचीव्ड, एंड दैट्स आल्सो प्रो कंपाउंडिंग. And the third thing, know what doesn't work for you and improve it. This I was not doing. This was the biggest problem with me, which you guys helped me to do that, and I'm really on that journey. I started with very good success, and hopefully it will be. I will complete this journey with good result. And then another thing I remember, take only trade that makes impact your portfolio. When we are right, are we making enough? This is very, very powerful, actually, quote. Not quote, you guys told us in the course. So, but this one sentence is really, it can change your entire thesis. This is very powerful. So, guys, if you want to take away, take this one. Take only trade that makes impact your portfolio. And when we are right, are we making enough? That's most important. And then same thing, I also follow market cycle, and then which sector, which my other colleagues already uh, told in the meeting, like Chinmay and other people. Market cycle, which sectors are uh, in favor in that cycle, and which companies are ready to capitalize that, whether those companies at the stage of participation discounting are already huge participation there, that also we need to check. Then whether the move is linear or not, and liquidity, and then this 5%, 10% business. So this is in a nutshell to zero down your list, and that's how I got 40, 30, 40 stocks, which I'm keeping in my list. So that's all about it. And I again thank you to both of you. And as I improve, I will share my journey in future also. So any question?
डेफिनेटली
I'm ready. Yeah. Yeah,
बहुत ही
thank you very
अच्छा वो
much.
आपका जो ये ट्रांजिशन हुआ है वो देख के मुझे बहुत ही खुशी हुई.
Thank you, Chiraji.
Hey, thank you so much for coming so prepared. This would be so eye-opening for so many people. I think Vishwa ji ने जो research किया था, even in the feedback loops, I think it has been one of the most impressive research. ठीक है, हाँ दीक्षित, no problem. चलिए. Okay. I think it had been one of the most impressive researches that we have done on a journal. ठीक है, please take cue from this. क्योंकि as Satish also said, अगर एक बार math clear हो जाता है, then you just need to work on the trader beyond the point. ठीक है, but thank you so much, Vishwa ji, for this.
You're welcome.